Welcome to another edition of the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. I'm Donald Grodoff, family coach with FamilyOCD.com and FocusedHealthyFamily.com. In the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast series, I delve into the hidden characteristics of OCD, anxiety, and anxiety disorders. The things that most people don't see, that are behind closed doors and shut within the mind about anxiety. My goal with these podcasts is to bring about awareness of obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. Understand that I am not a doctor, therapist, or counselor, and the content, information, resources, and ideas that are talked about and brought up here in these podcasts are things that I have used, discovered, or have been recommended to me, and I always recommend to seek additional professional help in finding solutions for yourself. Thank you for listening and enjoy the podcast. This podcast was recorded September 7th, 2018, and this is an off-the-cuff podcast specially made for the holidays. It's called the 12 Little Secrets for Parents to Improve Your Holidays. And we're going to start backwards with this. I like to talk about the idea, we watch that movie called It's a Wonderful Life, and of course it ends with a blissful ending. Yet nowadays, in reality, the endings aren't so blissful for holidays, and in fact, it's probably one of the higher times of depression for most people. So here are 12 little secrets that I like to give people to help them through the holidays, especially when we're talking about anxiety, when we're talking about kids dealing with special needs or with anxiety issues. These tips can be very helpful. So let's get started. Let's start with number 12. I call it knowing your limitations. We do this in so many things, both in business and in life. We make these big to-do lists, these long to-do lists there's no way in one day's time that you can do that amount of things. And so we need to learn to shorten that list that we do on a daily basis for work or home or life, whatever. But we also do this when it comes to holidays. We tend to make expectations and lists that are huge, that are nearly impossible to match without driving yourself totally crazy. So it's helpful to know that you have regular responsibilities like work, school, daily life, and you have to remember that when you're making your to-do for the holidays. You need to understand those limitations. You have to learn to say no to certain things and prioritize based on what is really the thing that matters most for your family and for the joy of that season. So I think it's learning to cut back on the things you do to make the things you do better. Number 11 is remember. And I this one's going to come out very cliche-ish in a way, but it's really remembering what the holiday is about. In this particular case, we're talking about Christmas, but in a way it can be true for other holidays, is that the truth of it's really about family. It's about the ones you love and being around them. It's putting love at the top of your list of to-do. I like to tell the story of my own family. When I was a kid, Christmases were a big thing for us. It was always fun. My parents made it especially fun, I believe. We didn't have a lot of money, but we still had a good Christmas. We always got one or two fairly large presents. We had Christmas trees. We'd go looking at lights. We'd play Christmas music, have cookies and Christmas stuff and meet friends and all of that. And I was about 3 years old, and so I don't remember this particular Christmas. But if it's like any of the others, I know the effects of it, and I have vague memories of it. But this particular Christmas, when I was 3 years old, we didn't realize what was to come. We spent the Christmas. It was a good Christmas, a fun Christmas, but we didn't know that the following month, my next oldest sister was going to die of a heart condition. And I think about that now, and I think about families, and as they do stuff, that they put so much attention to the to-dos that they forget about what the holiday is all about. And to think about what might happen, who might not be here for the next one, to me gives you all the reason to enjoy the most out of the family and the time you have together versus the presents and the other to-dos. So I think it's important to reinstill that in our minds and remember, very cliche-ish, but to remember what the season really is about. And no matter what your religious inclinations are, I think it's really basically about love and family. And of course, if you're in the religious side of it, it's about, what happened at the birth of Christ. All right. Number 10, get your kids involved. And in this particular one, I bring up the idea of perfectionism because I see a lot of situations where the mom or the dad take control and they make it about getting it done, having the perfect Christmas. Got to get this done, got to do this, got to do it myself because I got to get it done. That kind of mode, trying to make it the perfect Christmas. When it's really about, again, going back to thinking about what it's about family. And getting them involved, getting kids involved, and the whole family involved brings about for a really good feeling inside of everybody that they're part of the holiday, that they are involved in the holiday. Can make them feel that really like they've accomplished something. Can also make them feel the love. And it also takes a lot off the parents' bucket, off that list. If you can, you know, when you're working, when you're a manager in a job, you easily pass down, or you should easily pass down to subordinates some of the jobs that you need to have done and not put it all on you, not micromanage it. I think the same is true when it comes to your Christmas, and that you should. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be perfect in another way. Perfectionism to me has two sides you can look at. You can look at the fact that, like, I believed for a long time, perfectionism is an impossibility. You can't reach it. There's no such thing. Then there's the other side of it, is that we're all perfect just the way we are. And I think we could look at Christmas that way. Christmas is about love. It's about being home. And home is in the heart, not a building, but in the heart. And so it's about, so what if the gifts aren't wrapped perfectly? So what if the cookies don't get the exact star shape or the bell shape or whatever and what if they're not perfect? What if they taste good but they don't look great? It doesn't have to be perfect, and going after perfection is a stressful, anxiety-driven thing. So let it up, free up some of your time, and it's tough to do. I tend to have some perfectionism in myself, but it's important not to let it drive you to a certain point. All right, number 9, plan events early and wisely. And now we have the internet. So you have an avenue to be able to find events that you want to go to and plan them better. Because here again, we have a to-do of events list too that can be a mile long. Visiting, grandma and grandpa, both sides, the husband side and the mother's side. Visiting Uncle Charlie, Aunt Rose, all these different relatives, and running yourself alive, that you need to plan where you're going, what you're doing. And I hear again, get the kids involved. Let them help plan. So do some planning with the kids to do as a family, but also give yourself deserved time for you and your significant other. So plan them out. Don't, because you'll end up with burnout and exhaustion. Pick the things that you and your children really want to do and be sure to allow downtime. Don't run every night, every day. So, all right. Number 8, don't rush your kids. This is especially true in the holidays because they're excited. They get into things. They get really excited about the Christmas, and it's got really a lot more to do uh, with respecting their time, giving them the time to be able to wind down. There are a lot of kids out there that they take time to wind up to a situation to get it comfortable in a group or a crowd or a family situation. But it also, on the other side of it, it takes time for them to wind down to be able to ready to go. So giving them warnings, giving them a 15 or a 30-minute warning, and then a countdown starting at maybe either 10 or 5 minutes, coming in and saying, we got 10 minutes before we got to leave. I told you 30, we're now down to 10 minutes. And then coming in at another, maybe at 5 or 2 or both, and letting them know, 5 minutes left, please start picking up, please start wrapping up. The kids don't like to be yanked out of a situation. Just like if you're in the middle of something, you don't want to be pulled out without notice, without warning, all of that. So, pay attention to your kids and know what they need for the holiday gatherings in preparation and in being in the event. Number 7, respect your kids' feelings. Now, here again, it's the same kind of thing about respect. And in this particular case, we're talking about when they approach you with things. Dad, can you come see my... No, I don't have time right now. I got to get this done so we get this done for Christmas. Find ways to buffer that answer. There is a really good book for helping know how to respond to kids called Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. It is an excellent book that helps you to respect their feelings, to know that when they come to you and say, I'm hot, you don't reply with you're not hot, it's cold in here. No, respect their feelings. So you're feeling hot right now. Their Christmas wishes. Something my wife actually taught me was to, again, respect their wishes for Christmas, even though we may know that we can't afford it at the moment, is to respect what they ask. So what we do a lot of times at holidays is they'll come with a list of, all these things, and some of them are expensive. We'll say, well, write that down on the list. Get your list out there, and we'll see what, those are some neat things. I hope you get those things too. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? So learn how to respond to them without knocking their feeling, by saying, oh, that's stupid. We'll never be able to afford that. Blah, blah, blah. No, because you know what that does to them? Is it gives them a message about themselves that's probably not a good one. Because many times the act of creating the wish list satisfies their wanting, and sometimes they forget or move on to something else by the time the holidays actually come about. So, it creating that wish list can be very big. And like I say, we've had that happen where they've created a wish list back in like July, and by the time Christmas comes, they almost forget about half the things they put on it. All right, number 6, and this one I think is a really important one, and it's eat right. And it's really hard to do at holiday season, especially. So I teach this part as part of the work I do and the practice I do with helping people out of anxiety. I teach them about nutrition. I'm not a nutritionalist. I don't commend to be one. I, I basically teach them the basic ideas that I have and tell them to seek a nutritionalist, and a lot of times I recommend one. But during the holiday season, you're you're running into a lot of sweets and a lot of candies and a lot of, cakes and all these things that can take a holiday and make it horrible for anxiety, horrible for tantrums and kids just going off the chart. So I really there's a couple things I recommend here. One is of course to watch, these items: sugar, gluten, hydrogenated oils, dyes, chemicals that are in foods, because they can turn a child from a calm child to a wild beast within moments. The adrenaline of holidays is quite a bit just by itself, and then to pump sugar on top of it is not a very good thing. So one of the tips I'd have in doing this is the possibility of feeding your kids before you go go somewhere with healthy snacks, or bringing your own healthy snacks, making your own healthy snacks. It's a little more time consuming, but it definitely plays a role. Watching how late they take a more sugary item or the treats. Getting them to stop, say, by 7 o'clock of any kind of eating of you know, um, any foods that aren't the best for them. It we've always kind of looked at it as, here and there, not having some, and sure, don't take away all of them because that just doesn't fit. But kind of managing it, talking it over with them, here again, respecting their feelings, respecting them as children, and helping to explain to them about the foods and why they want to watch it. My own kids now have gotten to a point where, like my youngest now, who's now at this point is 9, he turns the bottle around, he turns the product around, looks at the ingredients, and Dad, I can't eat this. This has got, you know, high fructose corn syrup in it. He knows, and he monitors himself. But we also treat him, bring treats that he can eat along with them, so that while they're eating things he can eat, he has something to share with himself too. So it's very important because most people don't understand the gut-brain connection and how the wrong foods can pump anxiety into the ethers, into the wildest place. So it's really helpful to avoid those and to be able to speak to your relatives about these items and letting them know that they're not trying to be disrespectful and not eating everything, but that we understand the importance of kind of keeping them off of some of these foods because of what it does to them. So I think it's important that you really watch the food. Number 5, don't overdo travel. You know, it's true that, visiting relatives, that's a big part of the holidays. It's a big part of traditions and holidays. And it can create some really great memories, but it can also create some real horrible memories of pushing, rushing, packing, repacking, packing the car up, unloading the car, packing the car back up. What do we do about the animals? All these kind of things that go on that can cause a horrible, horrible time. It's a place and time when parents and kids can get stressed out. And don't negate the fact that your kids will feel that same stress, plus their own, you know, because of the holidays. So, one of the things that I like to think about and do more of is, why do we have to do it all at the holidays? To me, a holiday is really about something that happens in the heart. So going to visit a relative in July, to me, why not spread it out? You know, Instead of everything happening the week of Christmas, what about, in our family, we do Thanksmas. It's the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas that, because with a two-sided family, the mother's side and the father's side of the family, it's hard to be in both places at once, especially if they're not in the same town. And so what we do is some years we do Thanksgiving in one and Christmas in the other, and then we do Thanksmas in the middle if we can't do those. So I look at holidays that can happen anytime. A holiday to me is when you're visiting anybody at any time. It's a holiday. It's a time to enjoy uh, friends. So just understand that. Try to cut back on the travel because it is very hard to travel during the holidays. A lot of lines in airports and things like that. Um, so, and also thinking about using things like Skype and Zoom to do visits via the internet on some years, can be very important. Number 4, laugh and breathe. Sometimes we forget in the rush and the commercialization of the holidays. Again, it's about family, it's about love, it's about fun and excitement. And part of that is laughing. And part of that is understanding that you have to give downtime. You have to give breathing space to these holidays. To make them really memorable is to have a joyous holiday, is to have a holiday that has had time to do things. So it's important in it, taking deep breath, teaching your kids how to take deep breath to de-stress themselves, to bring down the excitement, can be very important. Number 3, spend time, not money. Another cliche-ish idea here is, children, I believe, really want your time and attention more than they really want the gifts. Now, some people are going to say, oh, yeah, right, not in my family. But it's not, I understand that, but that's because we've developed in our kids the idea that of not really putting the true meaning into the holiday. The giving and loving and being around family. We've kind of taught them that it's about the gifts, how much we give, how big the gifts are, all about giving. And in reality, I think if there was a choice, a choice between having all kinds of gifts or being able to, even like now, my parents are both gone. A choice of seeing them again, oh my gosh, would be, I would give up all the gifts in the world for that. So I think it's important to spend time and not money, because what's going to be remembered at the end? Because a lot of the toys aren't remembered. A lot of the gifts aren't necessarily remembered. But that time that Uncle Charlie came and played the piano and we all sang is remembered. Number 2, of course, now this is a little bit of a, a, a commercial for myself, but tapping. Using the EFT tapping process can really help bring down anxiety and calm yourself so you have a calm sense about things. And so it's, to me, something that can be used because it can be travel with you anywhere you go, because all you need is your fingers and the words, and you got it. So if you want to know more about tapping, make sure to visit my site, focusedhealthyfamily.com, or the Family OCD site, either one, and you can find out about EFT tapping. And number one and number final is giving the best Christmas present of all. And you might say, what is that? Remember what the holidays are really about. Love, friends, family, fun, laughter. Even teenagers now, they're a little tougher again because they've been brought up maybe in a world of it's about the material, about the commercialization of it. But in truth, it is just a bit as much, even for them. I know my kids still enjoy seeing their cousins, enjoy spending time with them even more than the gifts, I think. And so it's really, again, going back to giving the best present is yourself and your time and your love. So I will leave it at that. I hope this has helped you in some way, shape, or form. And I hope that you have a really blessed and wonderful holiday filled with love, joy, and excitement and fun. Thank you. That concludes this podcast. Please leave me a comment or question below. That gives me good direction where to go on future podcasts. I would love to hear your invisible wheelchair stories if you're willing to share it. If you would, go to invisiblewheelchair.com and click on Tell Your Story. I want to remind you that OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, is treatable, and I can help you get past OCD. So if you have heard this podcast and others, and you feel like you need further assistance and would like to spend some time with me working through any issues you have, then feel free to book a session at focusedhealthyfamily.com or familyocd.com, or you can call me at 704-562-1630. I also offer $85 off initial discovery session if you mention that you heard it on this podcast. Finally, don't forget that there is a tapping recording that coincides with this podcast you may want to take advantage of. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast and will join me for the next one. Remember to keep tapping, talking, and transcending your life to new heights. Thank you, and have a great day.